We were poorer than poor. You know.
Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. Just like to thank you for joining us once again here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. I am joined as always with co-hosts. There he is. 007.
007 shaking.
It's still John C. Walsh. Now,
James
as
Bond.
you can guess from the thumbnail
James Bond.
and our impressions as well of the
Sadly
late
not
great
Sean.
Sean Connery, we're going to be talking about James Bond, John, and it's John Boyega. He wants to play James Bond for director Steve McQueen. John Boyega is open to playing James Bond as long as Steve McQueen directs, saying the two Brits would bring a fresh twist to the iconic spy. Now, this is coming in from Screen Rant, John. There's a few websites that have covered this story because it is big news.
Yes.
It's very interesting as well, which we'll get into in a moment, but I'm just going to read a little quote here from Screen Rant. John Boyega told MTV News that he'd love to be the next James Bond if Steve McQueen were on board to direct. He said that he could provide a unique spin on the iconic secret agent while maintaining the suave sophistication that the fans have come to know and love over the last 50 years. Small Axe actress Letitia Wright threw Boyega's name in the ring first, knowing that he would love taking on 007. Here's Boyega's quote, as well as Wright and Boyega's interview below. Well, I'm just going to actually quote Boyega at the moment, John.
I wish I'd watched that interview now.
Well, we can watch it afterwards.
Terrible.
But you can catch it on, obviously, Screen Rant on this article. But
How
he
cool is that guy?
did say, oh, hey, listen, Steve McQueen directing, let's do this. We should show them something different. We still bring that sophistication, you know. James Bond has to be James Bond, but we could do something with that. What's your thoughts on this, John? Because there has been some names thrown about. Henry Cavill probably being one of the more prominent ones at the moment. I don't think we ever mentioned John Boyega in this role.
No, we didn't. And he's of course English. He comes from London.
Yeah.
And he has that way about him, Stephen. He's got the charisma. He's got the presence.
Yeah.
He's just starting on his journey, really, of stardom. He's been doing a lot of movies over the course of the last decade. He started with perhaps Attack of the Block, one of his more prominent roles anyway. So he's really just starting to display out his acting ability. And he's a fine actor. I watched him in Detroit. Thought he was stupendous in that. He'd done his best with the Finn character in the sequel trilogy, but as he recently came out and panned Disney for, they didn't really do anything with his character, despite his sort of exuberant performance. And I don't know if that's the correct use of the word exuberant, but I'm putting it in there anyway to try and make myself look smart. But hey ho, don't know why I says that, but I did. But yeah, I think he'd be great, man. If they'd made the call, he's young enough that he can carry the character for at least a decade. And look, there's been lots of talk about the likes of Idris Elba and various other actors around the age of a Daniel Craig continuing on the continuity. Perhaps you keep in a Ben Whishaw, a Judi Dench, I think it's in it, and the likes of Ralph Fiennes. I think they're all hanging around just now. Side characters, you can keep them all on with a new Bond, do a sort of switcheroo, a la sort of Doctor Who. But that's not giving you a lot of scope for Bond. I mean, he's a young-ish character, and he's involved in lots of high-velocity stunts. I know Tom Cruise is in his mid-50s and still sort of attaching himself to the side of planes and doing all of his stunts, but he's a one-of-a-kind. Most people of his age can't really do the high-velocity stunts. That's why Craig's moving away.
Also from the franchise, you want to have someone that's going to commit to at least a decade. You know, that's traditional. I know some of them only made it maybe by one film, but I think you're absolutely right. You know, it's someone that I never really considered. Who was the Scots guy we were talking about? I think you actually
Sam Heughan, Richard Madden are the two that are really prominent.
You know, and those two, I think, just because of their name is so prominent at the moment, you know, those names. John Boyega as well, to be fair, but it makes sense, you know, and it makes sense for Steve McQueen as well to try, you know, his directing chops at a franchise like this, because I think it's something that's down his street as well. John Boyega, prior to obviously 2015's The Force Awakens, I had only seen in a couple of independent films. I liked what I saw from him. I saw the potential in him, the charisma, the screen presence was there. Even in The Force Awakens, it was probably the best thing for me out with maybe Adam Driver. Obviously, charisma. You know, Harrison Ford's in that film, but for the up and coming actors, if you like, you know, he was the one that stood out for me. What they did to him in the two sequels we've talked about the Heinz legs off of that. I just can't watch them because of the treatment of him.
Stephen, he should have been a Jedi.
It became a joke, John.
Yeah.
That last film, Rise of Skywalker, Ray, that was his sort of
like a collie dog.
Yeah, and it was terrible. It was tragic, because actors, they sign on and they've got to do these things, and it's not till afterwards they can speak their minds, and that's what John Boyega's done here. But he seems pretty positive about putting his name in the hat. It's good that Letitia Wright's obviously put his name forward as well, but I think it could work. I really do think it can work. We talk about Idris Elba as well. We talk about Richard Madden, and John Boyega's up there with them anyway. And that sounds patronising, me saying that, but it's obvious that he's up there with them, and he's younger, and that's the point I'm trying to get at. I'm going off on tangents, John, but get someone in round about his age, and you can have him doing Bond. Because I think he can do it. I believe he could do it, and he could do it really well.
Stephen, it's not a hugely complex character to really do, is it? I mean, I've screwed this up. I've had this on the entire time, the split screen. I've not had the graphic up. So, talking about professionalism and being able to do something, I can't produce this show for the life of me. Horrendous, man. Clearly, I can only fixate on one thing at a time. That's really watching myself in the screen in front of me, like a sort of vain shithead. Just continually looking at myself again and again. But yeah, Steve, no, you're right, man. He certainly can play the role. He's a talented enough actor that he can play the role. He's got all of the tools in his toolbox, if you like, this metaphorical toolbox to play James Bond. He's decent enough height. He's got the physicality. He can do action. We've seen him do that many times before. And if you can team it with a Steve McQueen, I think Steve McQueen is a brilliant choice. I'll go to myself, Steve, to give you a break. I'm going to start utilising these wide shots more and more and more. I think if you can utilise a Steve McQueen in a new era of James Bond storytelling, this could be much like, I mean, I was actually reading an article, I think it was 2 days back, and they were talking about Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
How he instigated a new era of James Bond that went away from the sort of scruffy, rough Bonds, and he was a more refined, polished agent of the state. And they had to react to the Bourne trilogy and the rise of other action blockbusters that were doing similar concepts but doing it better. There wasn't the sort of stringent, sort of strict rules to play within, because of course it's based on novels, isn't it? I can't recall the actual writer of the novels from back in the 50s, 60s, but they were all based around these novels, so you had to operate within the sort of sandbox of these novels. You couldn't really do anything outside it. They started really changing. They started doing it with Pierce Brosnan, and then when they brought in Daniel Craig, again, they upped the scale, they upped the complexity surrounding villains and stuff. Villains are starting to carry over now, the Christoph Waltz character and stuff like that. Something we've seen with Christopher McQuarrie in the Mission Impossible movies. It adds a new level of interaction, of complexity for the audience members. If they can do that, if they can build upon what they've been doing with the likes, so I mean, I'm not even sure who's been directing the previous Bond movies. There you go. I know it was Kari Yoji Fukunaga who done the Bond 25, No Time to Die. I'm not the biggest Bond fan. I can't say with any real confidence who's directed the most of the Daniel Craig era Bond movies, but if they can build upon what they've done, changing the genre, or not the genre, the franchise, modernising it, and bring in a Steve McQueen, and if he can do something with it as well, maybe give more representation to black people, because Stephen, this is what Steve McQueen's
do you know what's funny,
for
John?
doing.
We have not even mentioned that because it's the natural thing to do, and it shouldn't be something that we have to talk about anyway.
But it should come naturally, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, John, as well, is you actually touched on something very interesting there. The Daniel Craig era did focus on the villains differently to previous Bond films. I think they gave them more of a three-dimensional presence.
That's Mickelson was one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Casino Royale. I'm going to go in and quickly check the Bond movies played by Daniel
and I
Craig.
think it's very important that they do continue that theme, because it's a winning formula, and I also would like to see the returning characters as well. It's something that you see in Mission Impossible, obviously, and it's something that Bond has done for a very long time anyway, so I'd like for them to keep those traditions. But I think bringing a director in like Steve McQueen, I think he would honour those traditions, but he'd bring a fresh sort of perspective to the franchise as well.
And Stephen, it'd be revolutionary, like Henry Golding was saying. This is a chance to be revolutionary with your next Bond. Change the way that it's viewed. sort of modernise it again. It's very white-centric Bond movies of the past, because it was set in the 60s in the United Kingdom, primarily, very white country.
Yeah.
But the landscape's changed over the course of the last 40, 50 years. We're a more diverse, teeming sort of pool of people now, and you need to represent that in the movies. And I know people get all worked up, social justice warriors, representation for the sake of it, but it's modern life. We are multicultural now, and you have to represent all walks of life on the screen.
You hear ridiculous things like, but Bond is the ultimate English gentleman. Black people can be gentlemen as well, by the way. They can, believe it or not, use races. They can.
Exactly. Stephen, Sam Mendes done Skyfall, he done Spectre, an amazing director. I forgot he'd done them. I think it was a random guy I've not even heard of before, Martin Campbell. He done another one. He done GoldenEye, he done Green Lantern, he done The Mask of Zorro. He's done a lot of good movies.
Green Lantern was
shit. Yeah, Mask of Zorro, I had sort of a fondness because I was a young guy, Stephen, watching it. It's like the sort of fondness I have for certain shit movies from my childhood. I look back now and I'm slightly embarrassed that I liked him, but Antonio Banderas, I'm sure he was in it.
Yeah, he was,
I liked something about it, I don't know why. But yeah, I suppose this is a chance for them to rejig it. And look, I didn't even know Steve McQueen was working with John Boyega and Letitia Wright on a TV show, so there you go, that's exciting times. Because Letitia Wright is a tremendous actor. I was speaking about her last night, how she could carry the baton on for a Black Panther. John, don't do a CGI body double.
Better than that, she can actually be in this franchise doing the Judi Dench role. I could see her doing that.
Stephen, that's modernising it. We don't have the stuffy old people in the upper echelons of the British government. We have young, vibrant people who can carry it on for a decade. I'm up for it, man. And if you bring in a Steve McQueen, that's exactly what you'll do. You'll give chances to people who wouldn't get a chance 9 times out of 10 in a franchise like Bond. So this is exactly the type of thing they need to do, Stephen. I don't really care who they bring in, but revolutionise it. Revolutionise the franchise. Who was it that says the revolution will be televised? Famous singer.
Yeah, it was Gil Scott-Heron.
Gil Scott-Heron. His father played for Celtic. Celtic.
Yeah.
And I don't at all look as though I'd be someone who's interested in a team like Celtic with the colours I'm wearing on their show tonight and what's behind me, but I'm a big fan of America, guys. And I like you now even more than ever because you've voted in Joe Biden as the president. Old sleepy Joe.
Make America great again. But John, we're going to move on to our next topic. It's Tom and Jerry. We talked about Tom and Jerry a few months ago and you forgot about it. I didn't, because I love Tom and Jerry. I actually said they are the equivalent, the sort of animated equivalent of Laurel and Hardy. And the live action movie with Chloë Grace Moretz gets
I didn't realise it was this close.
I know. John, we watched the trailer. I don't know if we're going to put out any reaction or not. I'm not really that fussed, to be honest with you. But it's up to yourself. We're both
sitting on a couple of reactions, Stephen.
Yeah, we both, just a couple. We both we did react to it naturally. A lot of laughing out loud moments in the trailer as well, John. We're big fans of the franchise as well, but I'm just going, this is coming in from Digital Spy, and there's a few little sort of sound bites in there from Michael Pena talking about Chloë Grace Moretz and stuff like that. So I'll just read this little bit, John, and then we can talk about the trailer
Jerry's
itself.
Never looked better.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. A debut trailer for Tom and Jerry, the movie, has been released, starring the iconic cat and mouse enemies in their first live-action adventure. This one finds the adorable rodent Jerry moving into one of New York City's greatest hotels on the eve of the wedding of the century. To combat this pest, the hotel's management employed relentless chaser Tom to sort him out once and for all. In the trailer, we get our first glimpse of kick-ass Chloë Grace Moretz catastrophe. Sorry, it's late. Star Rob Delaney, MCU favourite Michael Pena and Ken Jeong mixing up with the animated characters. The movie is directed by Ride Along Tim Story and produced by Ready Player
Stephen, if you watched last night's show and you can get over the horrendous hissing in the audio, you'd have seen that I was struggling as well.
John, that would cover up the way I'm reading this.
Oh, I was terrible last night.
Faria, previously Pena waxed lyrically about his experience working on the project with particular emphasis on Moretz's talent, and he said this, "Oh man, that was so cool." He said, "Sometimes you show up on these movies and the actor's still trying to find it. I don't know if that's not prepared or whatever, but it happens every so often." But Chloë Grace Moretz was so on the money. She knew the script and she was just awesome to go back and forth with. That was the vibe I got from the trailer, John.
Yeah,
she looks really good in this. You know how when you sometimes you get live action with animated characters, and there's something jarring about it.
Yeah.
She looks like she knows how to interact with these figures that are not really there, if you like. You know, I don't know how they've done it, the techniques, John, but what was your review on this trailer anyway?
Stephen,
it was something we talked about, the animation style, when we previously talked about it 2 months ago. We're now seeing it. Are you impressed?
Stephen, I'm impressed. I think it looks great, and what I like most about it is the fact they are using the traditional animation style, the 2D cartoonistic sort of animation style. They're not rejigging it. I'll go to myself again. The franchise or these characters for a new era. They're not giving us a full-on CGI sort of Paddington and Peter Rabbit vibe. They're staying true to the history of the characters and the legacy with the cartoon visual technique, visual style, if you'd like, and I love that, man.
Yeah.
Of course, Space Jam: A New Legacy's coming out next year too. LeBron James, and I can't recall. I'm trying to find out who the animator is. He was speaking. I mind doing a show talking about it, and he was getting to work with the technique they used to draw in these animated characters, revealing that they were staying true to the original Space Jam. It was going to be the cartoon 2D animation mixing with live action, and I loved that as well. And it's so good to see that this is what they're doing with this too. And look, the trailer was brilliant. We spoke about it. Traditionally, they didn't really speak. I'll go back to the dual screen now. I'll give us a running commentary of when I'm going to do things. I don't know how to do that. They don't traditionally speak, these characters, and it's different. You're not used to that in modern day live action animated hybrid movies. Paddington is full of life. Peter Rabbit, it's James Corden, full of life. Side characters, you've got your man from Star Wars, Domhnall Gleeson, in there. And what the common denominator throughout all of those movies, even though they aren't talking and it's a different animated movie, is the high caliber actors you come in, the live action actors you get to come in to really hold the fort and guide these animated characters around the screen. You had Domhnall Gleeson, you had a female actor in Peter Rabbit whose name eludes me. Paddington's full to the brim with amazing actors. Hugh Grant was a villain. I think it was Christ, I'm trying to remember who was the villain, and it may have been Cate Blanchett who was the villain in the first one.
What was the Ewan McGregor one with Winnie the Pooh again?
Christopher Robin. Was it Christopher? Yeah, Christopher Robin. You get high caliber actors who know what they're doing, who are used to this genre. Obviously, it's slightly more drama family with Paddington. It's out and out family fun with Peter Rabbit. Christopher Robin, it was a more drama driven family story. This looks like an out and out Peter Rabbit style family adventure movie, but adults who have grown up watching this can get on board with it too. But look, you've got Chloë Grace Moretz, you've got Michael Pena in there. They both know this genre very well, and they look as though they're guiding these animated characters around easily. You says it, Chloë Grace Moretz, she looks brilliant, and I think it looks really good. I didn't realise it was that close to coming out, and that they'd actually not only started shooting it, but they'd finished it, and it was the animation's done. Yeah, but it looks great, man. The two animated characters have not looked better ever. They look up to date, but they've stayed true, as I did say, to the origins of the characters.
There was a Tom and Jerry movie that came out in 1992, I think it was 92, 93, and they made them talk, and it was the worst thing they did. No, exactly. History. It doesn't matter about the era they came from. Whether that be silent pictures or not. There's something endearing about the characters and their mannerisms, the sort of way they treat each other. It's slapstick, I get it,
It's the visuals.
You don't really need them to talk because the visuals tell the story. But in this case, you've got the actors in there as well, so you've got the best of both worlds. I'm glad that they're not talking, John. Well, I assume they're not. They didn't, obviously, in the trailer.
They laughed, but that's what they've done in the
there was and screamed when they hit with an iron board or something like that. That's just tradition, but I'm looking forward to it, John. It does say it's scheduled to arrive in cinemas next year. There isn't an exact date, but it must be pretty close to them deciding whether or not they're going to put this out in VOD or if they're going to hang back for
I think the Rona will be gone by next year, Stephen. Probably summer next year we'll be back to a degree of normality.
I hope so.
With all of these vaccines getting rolled out, the Moderna one, the Pfizer one, there'll be the Oxford one, umpteen others. Yeah. I think we'll start seeing movie releases starting to get back into theatres mid next year, easily. And this seems like the kind of movie it's positioned to the school holiday period. Maybe, I don't know, June through to September time, anywhere in that region. This could go out, and I think they're going to get the movie released in the theatres with the whole Corona stuff, unless something goes, you know what. I think they'll get the release. Stephen, I like the final thing I'll say, you says about the silent era, I always likened it to the animation style of a Charlie Chaplin, something like that, sort of slapstick silent movie era. And there's something about that as magic. Even now, going back and watching a Charlie Chaplin movie, it has you in hysterics.
Yeah,
John, the Laurel and Hardy
I've
stuff.
always been a fan of that era. You know, I think it's very clever filmmaking. Whether it be Laurel and Hardy, whether it be Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton,
he was amazing.
Harold Lloyd as well. Legends, you know, and you can see the inspiration in these two characters as well. That's how I've always warmed to these two characters since I was a kid, and you never outgrow Tom and Jerry.
No, Stephen, that's it. It's a passing of a baton sort of thing, generational thing. I mind watching it daily, every single day, watching this, Looney Tunes, all these classic things. I was watching a certain streamer on Twitch just the other day, and he revealed who played Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. It was a famous sort of presenter
Casey
over the States.
DJ,
I couldn't believe it, man. Guy's doing sort of charity shows, and he's doing the Shaggy voice. I'm like, what? And again, that's Scooby-Doo, a generational thing. So these characters always have that nostalgic element, and that's why people will always be drawn to watch these movies. So if this is any ways good at all, I think it will follow in the same sort of footsteps as the Paddington and the Peter Rabbit and all of these other hybrid live-action animated movies. I think it will do very well because it's something that's been doing well consistently over the last 5-6 years.
It's not going to change, John. We're talking about scheduling, and this is what we're going to talk about next. It's Aquaman 2 needs to be delayed, but not because of Amber Heard. So there you are, John, before you go on your soapbox. Aquaman 2 is not the only high-profile sequel eyeing its 2022 release date. Another film may force Warner Brothers to delay the upcoming Aquaman sequel. Now, this is the reason. It's not Amber Heard. It's Aquaman 2.
Here. Zoe Saldana and Sam Worthington.
Needs to be delayed, and not because of the suggested controversies around Amber Heard's private life, but because of another huge release currently set for the same day. This is coming in from Screen Rant. The DCEU sequel is currently set to release on December 16th, 2022, assuming the various complications surrounding Heard and her ex-husband Johnny Depp don't impact filming. But the even stronger reason for Aquaman 2's release date is, as you said, Avatar 2. Although 2018's Aquaman amassed over $1 billion at the box office and developed a loyal cult following of its own, the franchise has not quite established itself as the perennial success like the MCU films or even other DC properties have. Fans and critics alike lauded the first film for its commitment to spectacle. Unfortunately, director James Wan is set to return for the sequel, ensuring a continued commitment to the over-the-top action, John. We can really just get to the meat and bones and say, this is down to scheduling and other films clashing. This was always going to be the case, John, with films mounting up over the months, running up to the end of this year, carrying into next year as well. Scheduling having to be delayed on future projects till the backlog's cleared. We've talked about the hind legs off this, John, but there has to be something, obviously, in the whole Amber Heard, Johnny Depp thing as well. I know we don't want to talk about this all week because it feels like that's all we do every episode, but
I could talk bashing Amber Heard all week long, Steve.
There has to be some kind of impact with the situation going on with Heard and Depp, John.
Absolutely.
And I think this is a convenient delay for the studio. I honestly do believe that.
Stephen, I think they're being harsh on Aquaman 2 as well, saying that it may have to move out of its December 16th, 2022 release slot because of Avatar 2. And I spoke about Avatar 2, I think it was Tuesday show. Was it last week? It was last week. It was Thursday, I think.
Yeah, Thursday it was.
Yeah, Thursday I'm losing the plot. I'm losing track of days, and that's because it's just blending into one day now, really. And I spoke about the one chance of this movie being really successful was the innovation and the underwater scenes. And James Cameron, you can never underestimate what he will bring. Yeah. Because he knows how to make blockbuster box office successfully earning sort of box office movies. He's how many movies in the top 5, 10 of the box office? Titanic, Avatar, I'm sure Terminator. There's more. Terminator. Yeah. So this guy, you can never underestimate this guy and the success and the ability to draw eyeballs onto his movie, and certainly what he's doing with Kate Winslet and stuff like that, breaking records underwater, and the way that there was a sort of correlation between this and Aquaman 2. James Wan forgone, I never know how to say that word. He didn't do the shoots underwater. He'd done them on forgoed. He'd done them on sort of hoists and stuff like that. The actors were up on, what would you call that? Sort of big cables and stuff like that, swinging around, kidding on they were underwater. Yeah. whereas James Cameron doesn't do half measures and they're underwater.
This is a guy that's actually...
I guess what I'm saying, Stephen, is they're being harsh. It could outperform Avatar quite easily. This is the more modern movie.
They're underestimating it, yeah.
This could easily outperform Avatar. Avatar's a 10-year-old franchise. There's only been one movie. It's fell out of pop culture. I think they're being a little harsh on Aquaman. I think there's more people probably anticipating Aquaman 2, despite Amber Heard and her shenanigans, than probably anticipating Aquaman 2 as opposed to Avatar 2. So I don't know if I agree with that, but the controversy surrounding Amber Heard, I think you're right. I think there's definitely something in it. They're waiting for this libel lawsuit over in the States to take place.
It will make it easy for them.
Yeah.
The decision will be made for them.
Steve, it's AT&T that took over. They don't want any bad publicity surrounding the movie. She's bad publicity.
John, I'll tell you something else. As much as I liked Aquaman, the first movie, and it did gross over $1 billion, I can wait for the sequel. I really can. I like Jason Momoa as Aquaman, but I think the article is quite right, saying it's not one of the biggest sort of players in the DC, and it's not. Aquaman for years was the joke when it was a blonde sort of image, on the seahorse thing with the orange suit. That revamp was the best thing they ever did for the character. Casting Jason Momoa in the role as well was the best thing they did, because that guy just oozes charisma. It just oozes screen presence, and you need someone like that for that kind of character, and it worked and it paid off. But as far as the story goes, I wasn't that too perplexed about the story. It was about the spectacle. It was really great seeing Patrick Wilson's always good in anything he's in anyway. But it was just, I was very interested to see how this would look on screen. Yeah, exactly, John. It was a good cast.
It was.
Bar one.
Stephen, look, I was laughing kind of there when you were speaking about the charisma and the brilliance of Jason Momoa. Everyone loves this guy.
Yeah. Everyone
loves him. He drinks Guinness, he gets on, he's got a huge fan base. He's the most chilled, easygoing, charismatic, fun guy. Everyone loves him, except from Amber Heard, who was upset with him, so much so that he was going over and ripping pages out of her book and stuff like that. People were talking about that maybe a year or two back and getting towed into Jason Momoa for being obtuse. I thought that was brilliant now, looking in hindsight. She's a bitch. I'm sorry, I don't like this woman at all, and I'm glad that Jason Momoa was ripping pages out of her book. So look, I agree, it's not a movie we need. How long have we waited for a Superman movie? 7 years.
Yeah,
2013 I think, Man of Steel. We're not getting
ridiculous.
Superman, but we're supposed to be excited for Aquaman. Aquaman's not a patch on Superman.
Superman doesn't have the momentum.
No, he doesn't have the momentum.
According to the studio, he's not got the momentum.
You could put out a Nick Cage Superman movie right now and it'd earn at least $500 million at the box office.
Yeah, well, this is it, but
full shit.
What do we know? We're going to move on to our final article, John. Now we're going into unknown territory here. I'm talking about a film I've only seen once back in 1991, I think it was. It came out in 1990. You've never seen it, but you've saw the first two films. A lot of people see this as the sort of the black sheep, the ugly duckling to the franchise, John, but I don't think it's that bad a film. But anyway, the Godfather 3 director's cut trailer promises a better ending. We both watched the trailer, John, prior to coming on. Quality wise, it looked really good. The music as well, the music is haunting. But I liked the trailer. Obviously the film's getting a rebrand as well. It's I think it's called, I'm trying to remember what it's called,
The Death of Michael Corleone.
So it's getting a total reface. Now we'll not really give too much into obviously the film and its ending, because we don't know what the ending is going to be. That's going to be kept secret anyway, this change in the ending. And also I don't think we're in sort of knowledgeable terms to really go right into this, because it's been so long since I've seen it. It's nearly 30 years since I've seen this film, John, and I know you've not seen it, but I'll just read this quote here from Screen Rant first from this article, and then we can talk about it, because it's the angle that the article's actually going into that we can talk about. Fans of the beloved crime trilogy have been patiently waiting for the new version of The Godfather Part 3 ever since it was first announced. With the release date just around the corner, the first trailer has been revealed, courtesy of Paramount Movies' YouTube channel. The trailer kicks off with a quote from Coppola explaining that an all-new beginning and end have been added to the director's cut, as he has a new title, The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, claiming that the picture has been given new life. Coppola's film looks drastically improved, at least in terms of image quality. It certainly does. It looks crystal clear, like it was filmed yesterday. If you didn't know, obviously Al Pacino's aged in the last 30 years. As for how many of a difference the film's new beginning and end make, the trailer doesn't give away any secrets. It will be interesting to see if Coppola's additional transform the film, but whether or not the beginning and end were the only problems with The Godfather Part 3 is another matter altogether. As many of us already know, some acclaimed filmmakers can fall into the trap of tinkering with their work, as was the case with Coppola's long-time friend George Lucas and his franchise. Whether or not Lucas' alterations were welcomed by fans is a matter of opinion. Still, the issue itself certainly has been no stranger to controversy in the years leading up to Lucasfilm's sale to Disney. Now, John, the only difference with that, I'll say, is that George Lucas tampered with 3 beloved films. Godfather 3, I don't think is favoured as much as the first 2 parts. So this, I don't think he's risking anything with legacy. I can't see there being too many drastic changes to the beginning and the end of this movie, John. I think I can't see it being something that's going to be a game changer. I really can't. It might surprise us, but it's something I'm very interested in.
Stephen, I'm interested in it too, because if this is the definitive version of the movie, this is what Coppola always envisaged for the movie.
Yeah.
And I know that there was interference behind the scenes from the studio in the first Godfather movie. I think they're doing a behind the scenes movie based on this, if I'm not wrong. Maybe another movie I'm thinking about here. But I think there was interference heavily.
John, can you widescreen yourself just now? I'm going to check something. I just noticed something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go widescreen. So if this is the definitive version of this movie, then that's good for me, because I've not seen the third iteration of the Godfather franchise trilogy anyway. So, and that was because of Kevin, fellow movie burner. He told me not to watch it, in a sense. He says it wasn't necessary. It wasn't attached in the first 2. For me, the first Godfather's one of the greatest movies ever made. Coppola was just sublime. And of course, Michael Corleone, Al Pacino, was, I keep saying it, one of the greatest transformations in the history of cinema that character underwent in that movie. And then of course the second one with Robert De Niro making his bow as the younger version of Vito Corleone. I believe that the Marlon Brando Don Corleone Godfather was in the first movie. That was a great movie too. I never watched the third movie because I knew it was convoluted, the whole Roman Catholic thing, the support, all this shit. It's a 30-year anniversary. It looks better than ever, Stephen. I'm going to go back to White Shot now. You've checked what you were checking. And look, just like all the other Blu-ray sort of updated restoration sort of movies we've seen over the years, this looks brilliant, man. I have not seen the original. I can't really compare it. But if he's adding little things in that he thinks makes it better, it makes it closer to his original vision, then that's great, man. It means it's something I can go and watch now, knowing that I'm getting the best possible version. And they compared him to also George Lucas, the Star Wars stuff. I know people like to hate on the special editions, but look, no one's going to sit here and seriously tell me that those Bespin scenes are not better than the special editions.
No, picture me dead.
They are definitely better. They open up that world. It was too sort of claustrophobic and clearly a set. They've opened it up. It looks like a living, breathing station on this gas giant, and that's better, man. There was things added in that were definitely improved. Definitely improved that original trilogy. So I know he dabbled a lot. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of criticising things they put in that were shit and the no and things like that, and things that he'd done that were good, but it's his project. We'll still get the originals in some vein, and you can still watch them. He's entitled to do it, and just like Coppola's entitled to do it. Hopefully this doesn't give us the same backlash as the original Star Wars movies.
Fingers crossed, John.
He's in trouble if it does, but we're going to have a quick drink.
Yeah, you have a quick drink and then we can wrap up the show.
I will wrap the show up.
Not much more to say.
No, I've got not much more to say either, Stephen. So that's going to round up the show tonight. What's your thoughts on the four topics we touched upon? Do you want to see John Boyega as 007 James Bond? Do you want to see a Steve McQueen collaboration with John Boyega? Is this the revolutionary step that the James Bond franchise requires to move into the 21st century? Not that it's already in the 21st century, but does it need that extra bit of kick to make that revolutionary jump? What do you make about the Tom and Jerry animated movie, the trailer that dropped? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this can follow in the footsteps of Paddington and Peter Rabbit and stuff like that? What do you make about Aquaman 2? Do you think it will have to move out of its December 2022 release slot for Avatar 2, or because of the whole Amber Turd fracas, you think she'll get the heave-ho, the bump? And we can bring in Emilia Clarke. I think it was Boss Logic, not Boss Man, that's the big Boss Man. Boss Logic done an alternate version with Emilia Clarke. I'm up for that. Better actor.
Boss Logic must be in the Johnny Depp cap now.
Yeah, absolutely. Get up to hell, man. I agree with you, boss. But look, man, Space Jam is not Space Jam. I've got Space Jam up. Godfather. What do you make about the Godfather 3 re-restoration? I keep wanting to say re-restoration, it's just a restoration. The new director's cut from Coppola himself. Is this something you're excited for? What make you want to go and watch it? If you haven't seen it before, what make you want to go back and give it a try if you hated it and you have seen it? Maybe you liked it, I don't know. You can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are anyway on any of the topics, on anything in general. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this in the future. And if you do, that's what you'll get. But look, as ever, until then, bye.
Bye.